Celebrating Yule, the winter solstice. This presentation was done by Lady Macmillan and adapted by Moonbramble. Yule, or the winter solstice, the deities associated would be the Holly King, Saturn, which is Roman, Alcyone, which is Greek, Hodur, which is Norse, Baldur, Norse, Frigga, Norse, Lord of Misrule, which is British, Tonzantin, which is Mexican, Calicbur, Scottish, Horus, Egyptian, and Spider Grandmother, which is Hopi, amongst many more. The pagan celebration of Yule is also known as the winter solstice, and it is one of the oldest winter celebrations in the world and lasts for approximately 12 days. At this time of year, it looks like the sun stands still for 3 days, and during this time people would light a log fire to conquer the darkness and banish the evil spirits and bring luck for the coming year. Yule was the darkest time of the year, and at this time we celebrate the coming of light into the world with the birth of the sun god. The sun god is the child of promise, who returns each year at Yule and dies again at Samhain. He brings hope at the time of greatest darkness, and we encourage him to return with fire, lights, and sun-shaped decorations on the tree, so Christmas baubles, sparkly, glittery tinsel, oranges, apples, anything that is spherical and bright and shiny. Yule is a celebration of the rebirth of the sun god, born of the goddess as he returns from the underworld. Fires and candles are lit to welcome the return of the sun god's light, while the goddess rests after delivery and hardship of her winter in labour. It is also the time when the Oak King and the Holly King meet. The Holly King is said to rule over the half of the year from the summer to the winter solstice, at which time the Oak King defeats the Holly King to rule again at the time until the summer solstice again. This is in essence an enactment of the annual cycle of life, growth and death in nature. Interestingly, for centuries, the Egyptians annually watch and wait for the star Sirius to appear in the sky. This is known to announce the birth of Osiris as Horus from the womb of Isis, which is yet another birth story. The Yule log. Burning the Yule log is perhaps the oldest of the Yule traditions, possibly dating back eons. Since the winter solstice was a solar holiday, fire in different forms is closely associated with it. Fires as candles were lit during Yule to give the waning sun renewed power and vigour, and also surely to provide sources of cheery heat and light during the darkest part of the northern winter. Even burning brandy on plum pudding symbolised the sun's rebirth. Traditionally, the Yule log was made of oak. In northern European countries, the log was massive enough to burn for the whole 12 days of Yule. It was selected early in the year and set aside. Then, at the winter solstice, it would be decorated with sprays of fir, evergreen, holly, ivy, or even yew. A piece of the previous year's Yule log was used to light the new Yule log. Once the ashes were cold, they were gathered and made into powerful amulets or scattered throughout the gardens and fields to ensure fertility and bounty in the coming year ahead. So Yule and the winter solstice. At Yule time, stand still, and while it is a pause before the cycle continues and a time apart, hostilities very often would cease. Peace and goodwill are the main themes at Yule. Also, there is a levelling of social barriers and reversal of social order. At this time, we have the pantomime dame and the principal boy. The pantomime dame would always be a male who dressed up as a woman, and the principal boy as a woman who dressed up as a male. And in medieval times, we had the Lord of Misrule, who was from the lower classes, but at this time went around ordering everyone to do what he pleased, even the king. So it is time of rebirth, of sun, of our hopes and dreams, of the year and many more. But first comes the leaving behind of the old, so that we can make way for the new to be brought in. It is also a great time of great danger. What if the sun does not return? So ask, what rebirth do you seek? What ending do you seek? What do you need to leave behind? All valuable questions at this time. So, winter solstice and Yule foods. So, produce that would be available if people had done the right job at Samhain and stored it properly. There would be apples, pears, damsons, blackberries, sweet chestnuts, pumpkins, squash, nuts, seeds, pork or beef, mushrooms, potatoes, mature root vegetables like carrots, parsnips, turnips and swedes, sprouts, cauliflowers, broccoli, winter cabbage, garlic, onions and leeks. Dried foods would be peas, beans, lentils, pearl barley and dried fruits. So herbs would be bay, rosemary, sage and thyme, chives. And meat, I mentioned before, would be pork, so that would be ham or beef, bacon, beef, chicken, goose, turkey, or fish, whether that's smoked or preserved. So carrying on, dairy would be milk, cheese and butter. Wild varieties could be elderberries, mushrooms if they're still around, sloes if there's not been a heavy frost, blackberries, bullace, hairy bitter cress, hops, pine, sweet chestnuts. Spices would be ginger, cinnamon and pepper. Drinks would be ginger punch, mulled wine, wines and ciders, beers, also teas and coffee, hot chocolate and sloe gin. This is all just to name a few of everything. So recipe ideas could be soups, stews, roasted vegetables, roast dinners, pies and crumbles. Yummy. So there's a Yule recipe here. So it's the Yule sliced recipe, cake, bread. So you need 200 grams of walnut halves, 100 grams of hazelnut, 50 grams of blanched almonds, 200 grams of raisins, 100 grams of pitted dates that are chopped, 200 grams of dried apricot which is chopped, 140 grams of glacé cherries or pineapple, 100 grams of plain flour, 2 teaspoons of mixed spice, half a teaspoon of baking powder, 175 grams of muscovado sugar, 3 eggs, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract and some icing sugar for dusting. So the method: heat the oven to 150 degrees C fan or 130 degrees Heat the oven to 150 degrees centigrade. Fan oven would be 132 degrees centigrade or gas oven Mark II. Line the base and sides of a 1.5 litre loaf tin. A long, thin one is best, and you cover it with baking parchment. Mix the nuts and dried fruit thoroughly in a large bowl using your hands, and then sift in the flour, spice and baking powder. Then add the sugar and mix everything well. Beat the eggs with the vanilla, then add to the dry mix, turning everything together well so that there's no dry mix visible. Step 2, turn it into the prepared tin and smooth the top and bake for 1.5 to 1 3/4 hours, and then cool in the tin for 15 minutes and turn out. Peel off the paper and cool on a wire rack. Dust the top thickly with icing sugar to serve. Should be delicious. So fun at Yule. Hold a feast. Hold a big feast at Yule and invite your friends and family to share in the season. Like any pagan Sabbath, Yule is as good a time as any to hold a big feast. Invite friends over, either for a potluck style dinner or a big spread to make yourself. There's nothing better than getting people together with the people you love on a chilly winter's night. So a Yule spell. It's called Yule Spell Ornament by Patty Wigington. As Yule approaches, the opportunities for spell work are increasingly endless. If you have a holiday tree this year, why not use ornaments as a way of directing your magical energies? Make a spell ornament to bring prosperity, love, health, or creativity into your life. You'll need the following: a clear plastic fillable ornament. Fill a material associated with your purpose, so herbs, small stones, coloured paper or glitter, etc., and coloured ribbons. Fill the plastic halves of the ornament with items that you associate with the purpose. Try a couple of the following or come up with your own combinations. For a money spell, add shredded bits of play money. Bay leaf, basil, chamomile, clover, stones such as turquoise and amethysts, bits of green silver or gold glitter. For workings related to creativity and inspiration, add feathers, sage, hazelwood or birch. Symbols of artistry such as paintbrush tips, crayons or coloured threads. Add diamonds, quartz, crystals. Also consider colours like yellows and golds. For healing magic, use apple blossom, lavender, barley, comfrey, eucalyptus, fennel, chamomile, allspice, olive, rosemary, rue, sandalwood, wintergreen and peppermint. As you're filling your ornament, focus on your intent. Think about what your purpose is in creating such a working. For some people, it helps to chant a small incantation while they work. If you're one of those folk, you might want to try something like this. Magic shall come as I order today, bringing prosperity, blessings my way. Magic to hang on a green Yule tree. As I will, so it shall be. And of course, if you're doing it for other things like healing, instead of prosperity, use the word healing. So magic shall come as I order today, bringing health blessings my way. Magic to hang on a green Yule tree. As I will, so shall it be. Once you've filled your ornament, place the two halves together. Tie a coloured ribbon around and the centre to keep the halves from separating. You may need to add a dab of craft glue for stability, and then hang your ornament in a place where you can see it during the Yule season. You can actually buy clear, fillable balls from craft shops. I think the Range or perhaps even B&M might do them, or somewhere like that. The other one is a gift giving tip. Make a whole box of these different purposes and share them with your friends at the holidays. So a Yule prayer. Prayers can be a way of asking for guidance, help, praying for the deceased, or simply thanking the gods and goddesses. So this is a Yule blessing by Winter Sky. To one and all I send to you blessings on this day, wishing joy and merriment. May it always come your way. As you light the Yule log fire and the candles are aglow, be thankful for what you've reaped this year and all you've grown to know. As you bid farewell to the Holly King under his blanket of snow, open your arms to the Oak King for the light he will bestow. So blessed Yule, may this solstice and turning of the wheel bring you love, peace and good fortune in the coming year ahead. Let us welcome the returning sun with hope and joy. May you never thirst, may you never hunger. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask the Pagan Federation, and they will do their best to satisfy your curiosities. Blessed be Moon Bramble.